Good morning, everybody. Glad to have you here today. And if you'd like to follow along, we will be in the 24th chapter of Acts and looking at one verse today, and deals with a universal, lifetime history of the world problem. Verse 26 says, "At the same time, speaking of Felix, he hoped that money would be given him by Paul. So he sent for him often and conversed with him." Two things I want to point out to you about this lesson, this verse. Felix was willing to sell justice for money. Felix could be bought. And again, this was a common practice in Felix's rule, that if you had enough money, and were willing to give it to him, you could be found innocent in his court. And so we see here the corruption, the power, the evil of greed by bribery, payoffs, corruption, and we see that's still an issue today in our government court systems. It's still an issue in places of power. But Paul, here we see him, the opposite extreme, that Paul never offers any type of bribe, and wouldn't, no matter how many times, says Felix sent for Paul often and talked with him, and so no matter how many times Felix called him in, Paul never once offered any kind of bribe or payoff of any type to get to win his freedom. And so again, I said earlier that there's two lessons I think that jump out here. One of them is the danger, the corruption, the depths that greed will cause a man to sink to. Felix was willing to, whether he thought Paul was guilty or not, or innocent or not, was irrelevant to him, and both sides of that story, that coin, are wicked. If he thought he was guilty, then he should be punished, and no amount of money should change that. If he thought he was innocent, then he should turn him loose and not ask for any money. But greed is a terrible taskmaster. Greed has led men throughout history into some horrible decisions, into some wicked actions. And so we see here the danger of greed. But again, we're brought back also in this to remember and to note here how God is at work. We don't see it specifically said here, but I think you will agree that Felix didn't call Paul before him too many times where Paul did not proclaim the gospel of Jesus Christ. And so while Felix is operating out of greed, God is using these opportunities to have the gospel once more put in the face of Felix. I'm going to present a hypothetical, imaginary situation, because we certainly don't know, but to assume that Felix never accepted the gospel. And one day he dies, and he stands before God, and his argument is, I didn't know. I didn't know any better. I shouldn't have to be banished to hell. I didn't know any better. And the response from the throne of God is, what about all those times you called Paul in and was trying to get a bribe? You remember those? Do you remember how many times Paul told you about Jesus Christ, about the need of salvation? And Felix would have no choice but to hang his head and to walk away. Again, that's purely just a thought a hypothetical situation. There's no evidence that anything like that has or did happen. May have, don't know. But again, all these opportunities that Felix thought he was fishing for a bribe, Paul was fishing for a convert. And it's just a reminder to us again that we make the most of every opportunity that we have to share the gospel. People may not realize or may not have the intent of when they're talking to you to hear about Christ, but we need to make it a real point of concern, a point of effort, that whenever we're given the opportunity, that we use that opportunity to the most for Jesus Christ. And you today will probably be faced with several opportunities. Maybe the cashier at the grocery store, maybe the server in the restaurant, maybe one of your family members. But you will have opportunity today, even though, again, the other person may not realize that's what their intent was. Your neighbor may come over to yell at you because your dog barked last night. That's an opportunity for us to share the gospel. Your boss may call you in to tell you what you did wrong at work. It's an opportunity to share the gospel. You may get called to the school for a parent-teacher conference. Opportunity to share the gospel. And so we are surrounded by those opportunities every day. And like Paul, we need to make the most of them. And so my challenge, my question for you today is, what will you do with the opportunities? How many opportunities have you missed to share the good news of Jesus Christ? And that we pray that God would help us and seek to honor Him and use every opportunity we're given and with every person we converse with to tell them about the good news of Jesus Christ. You think about that today as you go out and about, talking to the cashier, the server, your family. Use that opportunity to tell them the good news of the gospel. Think about it. We'll see you here tomorrow morning.